Welcome to another Unwinding with Fiber and Fabric and Vlogmas 2022. I can't believe that it is already December 10th and we are ready to start our 10th day of spinning and joining together for this Vlogmas spin along. So let's just go ahead and dive in, and I will pull out a color, taking it out and see what we have. Okay. Wow, what's the chances of that? Another salted caramel. Oh my goodness, that was such a treat yesterday. Really enjoyed that little treat. Another little chocolate. Again, I can understand why people buy advent calendars with chocolate in them every year. Getting a chocolate every day, even when your house is full of other chocolates and Christmas goodies, it is a treat and it feels so special. Very much like the excitement when I was a child and we'd get the advent calendars with chocolate in them. Today is another exhaust, but today's exhaust is avocado. Another one of these very yellowy greens. And let's see, getting a couple. Because I move the wheel and the camera in between these every day, I find some days are easier than others to get the second camera shots of the fiber. The things we learn. And double checking, yes, everything is in place. So interestingly, from where I'm sitting, the avocado exhaust is not a ton different than yesterday's fiber. There's not going to be a great deal of contrast between the exhaust of avocado and moss, and that is not a problem. I'm sure it will look lovely in the final yarn. Oh, I forgot my drop cloth today. Let's get that on my lap. I am wearing my capelet again today because we have been having a streak of damp weather, and now that the damp weather is also becoming a little chillier as well. December is upon us. But speaking of the damp weather, and I have been following for my for those of you that are over in Europe or Great Britain, I've been following along with some of the other fibers vloggers out there, and talking to my son, and it appears you have had some wintry weather, maybe not always the snow, but some cold temperatures. I've been seeing a number of vloggers talking about how cold they're feeling at the moment. And actually, I'm noticing, even just with what I've already spun, the moss and the avocado are going to be very different shades. The moss is a darker, more reminiscent of a pine tree green, and this avocado has a brighter tone to it, so it will be a different shade. But I've been noticing that, yes, in different areas, we have winter. I have friends in different parts of the United States that have been posting some chilly, cold, and oftentimes blustery photos. We keep having the forecast that there might be snow, but as we then get closer to each of those forecasted days, it disappears and just becomes a forecast for rain. However, it feels cold. It is damp. And so with that in mind, I spent a cold, damp day yesterday after vlogging, making up some warm, wintry time foods. And I wanted to share with you guys how I managed to do the vlogs and still eat and make food, for the family. It really comes down to, so in my younger days, when my children were really little and I worked full time, and we were on a very tight budget, I learned a lot of prep ahead, spend a day cooking, or a weekend, and then have leftovers through the week. And one of the, I did a lot of meal prep that was economical and hearty and could stretch. Well, now that it's just my husband and I, making up big pots of split pea soup or ham and bean soup or chili, it's not the most economical, because those are foods that, while you can freeze them, they're so much better made fresh, eaten within a week. And so figuring out how to do smaller batches is one of the things I've been working on, but also trying to mix it up a little and try to, in essence, bringing forward some of the flavors that we loved from all those years ago, but now making them in smaller quantities in different dishes that are a little easier to have 1 or 2 meals rather than a whole week of family meals. So with that in mind, yesterday, with the onset of some seriously gray, rainy damp that has set in, I set about making what actually is a kind of a new recipe based upon some, old techniques. And so I was going to describe what I did. So the first thing I did, whenever the supermarket has a good sale on, especially when it comes to beef, I like to take advantage of it, buy it in bulk, and then chop it up and freeze the raw product. Now with chicken, sometimes I will go ahead and cook all of it up in my Instapot and then freeze the cooked chicken so that it's ready to come out of a bag, put some sort of fun sauce that I've made over it, put it in the oven and bake the sauce onto it, so that in essence you have bunless chicken wings anytime you want. So that's one of the things I do with chicken. But when it comes to beef, it's an expensive meat. It has become expensive. And when I was a young married mother of 2 little kids, there was a period of time I struggled actually to eat beef, because I'd grown up on a dairy farm, and I'd always grown up with good beef, and I couldn't stand the taste of some of the lower quality, more affordable options I was finding. But that ended up being a brief period, because then I started figuring out how to know the season and where that the beef was a better quality, and know what stores to go to that had, I guess you could say, just more local. There we go. Yeah. More local, a more local product. And that made a big difference. So, a couple weeks, everything's a couple weeks back. I have lost track of when it was, but probably about a month back. I'm pretty sure it was around football season, when football season was starting. And you would have a huge demand for steaks being cooked on the grill as everyone was watching football, whatever. Well, when supermarkets, when the butchers get in large cuts of beef, or the butchers get in large cuts of beef to handle that barbecue market, well, they have the rest of the cow they still have to deal with, right? So I always keep an eye out for the cheaper cuts of meat that take forever to cook in traditional methods and buy it when they're on sale. And we were able to do that. Restocked the freezer, all chopped up and prepared. And yesterday I took advantage of it. I pulled out some, so it's a long stew type meat. Put it in the Instapot. Cooked it with some spices for about 30 minutes. Then I stirred it all up and cooked it again for another 25 minutes, making sure the tough cut of beef was nice and tender. Then I took the meat out of the broth. I made a gravy. And then I put the meat back in. It has meat, it has the beef, so the roast, in essence. It has the roast meat, all broken up in it. It has mushrooms and onions and garlic, and it's nice and hearty gravy. Then I cooked up some, I got the Instapot going again, and I cooked some small potatoes and some Brussels sprouts, steaming them just for a few moments. Took the potatoes, chopped them up, took the Brussels sprouts, chopped them up, put them in the bottom of a microwave safe bowl that has a lid, glass. We've been moving towards using glass more and more, and moving away from all of the plastic recycled. Not for any other reason than it's actually easier for me to keep them clean. That's, yes, we are trying to be eco-friendly, but it's easier to clean glass. It's easier to get your oils and fats out of glass than it is plastic. So lined it in the bottom of a dish, put the gravy on top of it, baked up a little puff pastry topper. That went into a separate container, and that is what my husband got to go off to work with. Off to work. So I did all that yesterday. So that's what he was able to go to work with today. So, really simple. So easy to do. I've come to the end of my fibers so much faster than I expected. Oh my goodness. What's with that? But yeah, so that's what I did. So I had this wonderful gravy that goes on the top of the potatoes that are cooked on top of the Brussels sprouts. And when it gets reheated all together in the glass dish, that gravy, because it is, the gravy will thin out as it heats. Okay. It's nice and thick when it's been chilled, but it becomes almost a soup, a stew. But I think when I started this, I was thinking of a cottage pie. But I wanted something that was in components. And the reason I wanted it in components is because if I left out the potato and just did the Brussels sprouts and the roast in the thick gravy with the mushrooms, that can go into one of the little hand pies that I've been making. Without the extra crust, it is fabulous with the potato. So it's coming back to these ideas. It's there's a lot of different names for it. When you have biscuits and gravy, SOS is another name. And yes, I do know what the SOS stands for, but I'm not going to say it on camera just to be polite. Something on a shingle. And it's a really simple concept. But when I was making SOS all those years ago, the gravy that I was making didn't hold up to reheating as well. But making it this time, with it being what was supposed to be more of a little bit on the looser side and more of what you would consider the kind of gravy that goes into a pie, that basically a thick soup, it works. And it gives us a little bit of a variation, but also gives me something really simple. Because while the Instapot is over there working away, I can step away, I can do dishes, I can work on crafts, I can tidy things up, I can play with cats. It does really help free up my time so that I can edit videos. Because unlike when I was using more traditional cooking methods, yes, when I used to make things in the crock pots, I loved that because I could step away, but it was a longer amount of time and it was a larger volume of food. I love being able to do these components. I love being able to do these things quick and easy because it does leave me time, well, to do this, to not just sit and spin with you, but then to do the editing and the uploading and all of that, which I do enjoy. I actually enjoy this process. It feels both like a job, but also a really fun hobby all at once. And it's nice to have that. It's nice to have that sense of accomplishment each day, especially during this season. December, I know for December for the Northern Hemisphere, we are shorter days. It gets dark. It's dark when we get up. It's dark at the end of the workday, and it can affect how we feel about ourselves. Crafting is a good way to combat that, but we can become so overwhelmed with all the things that we need to get done that it's easy to succumb. So having good, warm, easy to, good, hearty, easy to reheat foods, and by doing them in the components, like I've just discussed, they reheat so well. So I can pick and choose based on how hungry I am or what I'm craving, what components I put together. I did this when my son was here. I did it with chicken, and oh, that was a fabulous combo. I had some really spicy sausage meat that I cooked up in our stuffing that we were eating, and I had reserved a bit of that. I mixed it in with the chicken, which had a lot of really good black pepper flavor and tones. I made this gravy that when chilled became a paste, but when reheated became a wonderful gravy. I mixed all that together, and I had these wonderful little hand pockets that we were eating. And it was fast and it was easy. And one day of messing up the kitchen, one period of time messing up the kitchen, made it to where we had quick food for the rest of the time. So that's how I'm accomplishing this and still eating well, making the components that then go together to have the variety. So while we still have a few minutes of time before I run out of that 20-minute mark, which I tend to go over just a little bit because I also keep forgetting there's about a minute of extra at the beginning and the ending of my vlog. But let's go ahead and pull out a suggestion and see what I get today. And I'm going to have all green left. This one is going to be so much fun. It says, make a cat toy. And I've been saving the wrappers from these lint candies because they crinkle. They crinkle. I'll put it by my microphone here. They crinkle. And you can take those and, clean. You can take those and put them inside of a crocheted, knitted, or sewn cat toy, and it makes that crinkling noise that they sometimes find intriguing to play with. So I've been saving my candy wrappers to put into some cat toys. I also have been we have the bottles that our prescription medication comes in aren't recyclable in our area, and I am going to take a couple of those bottles and put some things like beans in them, and again, put those inside of the cat toys. Always being safe and careful to make sure that there's nothing that can harm the kitty if they get if it comes apart at the seams. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a cat toy today. I am excited. That one's a good one because it means I can sit down. And yes, I'm going to, I could make it at the sewing machine, but I think I'm going to pull up some remnants balls of yarn, and I'm going to make another cat toy for our kittens, because the little kittens, especially Whimsy, the little orange one, she loves the mouse cat toy I made for her a few weeks back. She drags that thing all around the house, and her joy of playing with that mouse has made the old kittens become re-intrigued with their cat toys. Meatball, or otherwise known as Ringo, he likes rope. I have purchased a spool of thick, wonderful jute, natural fibered rope, and he plays with that. He likes rope. So his cat toys are a little bit easier to make. A knot of rope and he's happy. So, well, there is our time up, and I am excited going forward. I hope that you have enjoyed me rambling about one of the things that I've been cooking during this Vlogmas season. I will leave you with this last just bit of a tip. There are a lot of good recipes out there that will talk about how to make chowder, stew, soups, chilies, all of this. The thing to remember is that they are guides. Recipes, when it comes to these hearty home feeling warm, cozy foods, these traditional, hard-working, cold weather foods, they are guides. And as long as you don't over-salt them, I've done that, over-spice them if you can't handle a lot of spice, the adding of some mashed potato will thicken. The adding of extra vegetables will make it go further. It is something that can be done. They are guides. Put in your flavors. Learn to taste and learn to enjoy, and learn to embrace some old-fashioned food, even if we are using very modern techniques. It can really make a difference, especially for those of you that struggle with physical conditions that make you either fatigued or suffering from a lot of pain. Having these kind of things in components ready to go to where you can mix them together with a little bit of energy really can make a difference. It is one of the keys to my success, is having learned these things in my youth and now reinventing them to work better at this stage of my life. So that's my tip, and oh my goodness, I have now gone over my time, and this will be one of the longer videos rather than one of the shorter ones. I hope that you have enjoyed this Unwinding with Fiber and Fabric, and we will see you tomorrow.